You know, answering those two questions just kind of got me in the mood. Why don't I go ahead and cut news early? That way I don't have to worry about it. Let me find it first. See, now I got to edit this out. All this little bit where I'm here messing with this phone, now I got to edit all that out. I hate editing. I really do. I hate it. It just takes up a lot of time. USA Day report claims statistics show crime on the rise in the villages. I already testified on that before. I'm not going to do it again. AAC to discuss spending more than $100,000 for a restroom at gate that doesn't have arms. That's the one up there by Silver Lake. What do they call that gate? Shea Gate. There's no arms. I worked that gate a couple of times. What a useless gate. Totally useless. No bathroom in it either. Larry the alligator, I think I reported this too, is gone. They have a video here where he was taken down to Orlando to some gator farm for tourists. You know, I forget what it's called, but anyway, they had a video on the news and everything. Larry had superstar status around here. So they showed a video where they released him down there, and so he'll live the rest of his life out down there somewhere. Man at wheel during fatal golf cart ride suffers legal setback in court. You remember that guy, right? Woman fell out of his golf cart, hit her head, and he drug her body over into the flower and bushes and just left her there and got in a golf cart and went home. He goes to court and he tells the judge some lengthy story. He has this lawyer. I don't know, everybody's got legal representation rights. I got no problem with that. It's just some of these lawyers, I think they just ought to be kicked out, barred out of the whole legal system because they come up with some of the stupidest stuff to get crooks and people like that off. And they were in there saying something to the fact that when she fell out of the golf cart, nobody actually saw him drag her body into the bushes. Nobody actually could describe that golf cart leaving the scene. They were using all these things to get him off. Even though they had a police report where when the cop pulled him over, first thing he asked the cop was, "Is she okay?" You know, so you have to know the whole story. But anyway, the judge threw it out. Said he's not going to accept it. Good for that judge. You know what? What is this? You know, how does this thing keep getting on there? I took it off several times. What is that? Let me take it off. Looks better without it. This thing is for sunlight, but it messes up the lens. Hear the clock? Got my dad's clock going. Villager jumps from golf cart bridge after reportedly battling depression. The golf cart bridge crosses 441 and 27 up there. Somebody battling depression, 55-year-old villager. Apparently as they walked over the bridge, they climbed over the top and jumped down on 441 and a car hit them. So, they're gone. New restaurant will be opening doors at Lake Sumter. A Flying Biscuit Cafe is coming to the village of Lake Sumter Landing Market Square. That's going to go into where the green tea room, I think it was called. There was a tea room up there. It was basically for ladies that had tea, and I don't know what they do in there. I went in there one time just to look around. I'm sorry, unless they do something with that building, I just can't see any kind of a restaurant in there. It don't look big enough. That's just my opinion. Village of Southern Oaks will nearly double the size of the villages. Try to soak that in. I think we're right now at 120,000-ish people here, you know, counting the Finney area. 120,000 people. Now I know a lot of them are snowbirds, but basically, you know, 120,000 people. One village, Southern Oaks, the village of Southern Oaks, one village, will nearly double the size of all of the villages. That's massive. Sheriff's Office contends stats don't add up in story on rising crime in the villages. I said that. I mean, yeah. If you had one violent crime, say last year, or whatever it may be, use your own head. Had one crime last year, and this year you had two crimes, then actually the crime rate went up 100%. You know, and nationwide, you can say, "Whoa, my God, that's awful. Their crime rate there went up 100%." Well, that's true and not true. I think most of you can figure that out. I mean, when you got many houses being built here and our population size going up the way it's going up, and people are continually retiring and moving down here, not everybody, but a certain percentage are coming to Florida, and out of those people, there's another big percentage buying here in the villages for whatever reasons. Yeah, the crime rate has a tendency to go up, and some of the crime rate here is not from outsiders coming in. Some of the crime rate here are from the people that actually buy a house and live here. I don't know where they come from. I don't know what their life has been like in the past, and I don't know what they think. But one guy didn't like the idea of a dog, I guess. It had an argument with the dog. So I'm just going to assume down at Finney, somebody was walking their dog and their dog took a dump in the guy's front yard. And where he's from, that's just not acceptable. So he runs out the door and he gets into an argument with this dog and the people about this dog taking a dump. And I don't know what was said, and I'm not even going to pretend I know. But somewhere in that argument, he flashed a gun. And that was the no-no. They called the police. And of course the police came out and arrested him for doing that. But I got to tell you, where I'm from, the idea of taking your dog to your neighbor's yard and letting him take a crap in there, whether you pick it up or not, is just totally disrespectful to the man's private property. And it wouldn't happen up there. And it just taken me a while to kind of get used to the lifestyle here of that happening. I have a dog. We have a dog. My dog never takes a dump on anybody's property. My dog never takes a pee on anybody's grass. We see to it. I don't really see the reason for doing that, but it is what it is, and you'll see a lot of that down here. So if you don't like it, I'm not sure what you can do about it. But just know that that goes on. Okay, that's enough of that. Most of that ads in here are from surrounding towns. I don't generally read them because it doesn't really affect the villages. CDD 7, supervisor questions cost to residents for new golf cart bridges. Yeah, this stuff is really getting pricey. Very, very pricey. And I don't understand how all that works either, you know, but it is what it is. Resident of the Villages tasered after woman finds him sleeping on her couch. I gotta read that, right? Oh my God, look at this guy. Is that a good picture? Can you see that guy? He looks like he's on drugs when he got his picture taken. A resident of the Villages was tasered after a woman found him sleeping on her couch. The woman contacted the Lake County Sheriff's Office after she found 40-year-old Craig Allen McDonald, who lives at 923 St. Andrews Boulevard on the historic side of the Villages, sleeping on her couch about 9 p.m. Wednesday at a mobile home park in Leesburg. Oh, so he was from here. He goes to Leesburg, and he's in some lady's house sleeping on her couch. He probably thought he was home. She said she did not know McDonald, and he had not been invited into her home. A deputy arrived in the attempt to rouse McDonald, who cursed and kicked at him. McDonald got up and became aggressive toward the deputy. Not a good move, Slick, not a good move. Who deployed a taser 3 times at McDonald. EMS arrived on the scene and recommended that McDonald receive additional evaluation. He was taken to Event Health in Tavares, where he admitted to the deputy that he had no idea whose residence he had been in, according to the arrest report. He said he had used methamphetamine and had been awake for several days. McDonald said he had a friend who lives in the same mobile home park as the woman on whose couch he had been found sleeping. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on $51,000 bond. Dude, give up the drugs. They ain't worth it. Couple who can't afford upkeep at home offers to give it back to the Villages. Well, that probably ain't going to happen. Let me read this. An attorney for a Villages couple contends his client can't afford to keep up a vacant property in the Villages. Overgrown weeds and grass at 1520 Impala Place in the village of Santo Domingo were the subject of public hearing Friday morning before the Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors. A complaint was received January 9 about the unkept property and was verified the following day by community standards. It looks like the property will eventually go into foreclosure. Candace Dennis of Community Standards told the board. The owner, Charles and Alice Ignarski, are living in Newport Richey. Their attorney, Eugene Beal of Hudson, sent a letter on behalf of his clients to Community Standards. My client has been placed in an untenable situation as a result of neglect by the lender on the property. The client have written to the lender in lieu of foreclosure. He said the couple's letters have been ignored. The couple purchased the designer home in 2000 for $164,000. He recommended deeding the property over to the villages. That would entitle the villages to take possession, do whatever maintenance and upkeep that they desire, and even rent the property until the lender finally decides to take action. Oh no. It was an offer not considered by the board. So they have been found to be out of compliance, and if they don't get it back into compliance by a specific date, they gave them 5 days to come into compliance. If not, the couple will face up to $250 fine, and each time the district is forced to maintain the property, another $250 fine will be imposed. Phew. They're in a pickle. For $164,000, it really sounds like a pretty good deal. If you really want to get out from under all that, sell it for $164,000. There's people here right now this time of year, they'll jump all over that. A fixer-upper for $164,000, they jump all over it. Then you have to worry about it. But anyway, sell it as is. CDD4 supervisor contends it is time to revisit policy on signs. You see the signs in the front yard there? I don't know if I get this thing to focus on that or not. Right there. In most districts, not all, in most districts that's prohibited. You can't have signs in your front yard. Homeowner in the village is ordered to take down the fence in violation of deed compliance. Village of Osceola Hills woman reports theft of purse from vehicle. Well, really, there's not a whole lot going on these pages. I'll read it to you. Villagers invited to offer input at meeting on amenity fee deferral rate. I think what that's all about is they're only allowed to raise our amenity fees like so much percent per year, and that's the cutoff. I don't think they can go any more than that, maybe without special permission or something. And so far, they've lived under that rule. We don't go up an astronomical rate every year. They changed it this year on new home buyers to where they got to pay $159 a month right after closing. We don't even pay $159. We're at I don't know what we are, truthfully, $149, $150-ish, somewhere in that area. They're wanting to change that deferral rate, have it raised. I don't know why. Pay for the bridges, I don't know. And I haven't heard much about how much they're wanting to raise it to. Like, let's say they got a cutoff, and I'm just using these numbers, don't quote them. Let's say they got a 1% or 2% raise per year. They can raise our amenity fees 2% a year. They're wanting to raise that to maybe 3% per year. So I think that's what the meeting's all about. If you're wanting to buy a new home, ask your realtor about all this. He or she should have all this information for you. If they don't, maybe you should look for another realtor. Property owner to cash out near Brownwood. That's the Spar Building and Farm Supply, my favorite store. I go there a lot for little things. Is it the cheapest? Probably not. But it's easy in, easy out, no standing in line. I like it. Let's see, the owner of Spar Building and Farm Supply, Wildwood, Florida, hopes to cash in on the fast-paced development in the surrounding area. Samuel Howard, owner of Wildwood Store, wants to develop a portion of the store's large parking lot and adjacent property for a bank, restaurant, and some industrial uses. Why not? Here's what would be nice if we could get our golf cart over there. Cody brings new manager at Brownwood after shutdown for health code violations. These are older news reports. This is probably a couple weeks old. Let me clue you in. This new manager at Brownwood they brought in, he's already gone. I was down at Beer Day last Thursday, and the manager wanted me to do a video of the restaurant, all the new stuff in the kitchen and stuff like that. And I told him, sure, I'll help you out. I'll do that. I said, just let me know when. Give me a call. I gave him my phone number. I said, I'll come down once you get it set up, and we'll do it. I said, I'd like to come down before you open, or maybe after you close when there's nobody around. And he said, no problem. Never got a call, never got a call. So Tommy, our waiter down there, he told me, he said that he's already gone. I think he quit for some reason because he lives in Ocala, and the trip back and forth every day or whatever. So I think that's what happened. But the new regional manager of Cody's is Mary, and we all love Mary. She'll do great. PWAC 10-year forecast shows need to raise cap on amenity fees. I'm thinking that meeting has something to do with that, but I could be wrong here. Let me read a little bit about that because it's probably really long and I'm not reading the whole thing. Let me see, I'll start with that project. Wide advisory committee members were presented Monday with a 10-year budget forecast, and it seems to convince several members that the deferral rate on amenity fees will have to be lifted. PWAC collects funding from two distinct and separate sources. One is the project-wide fund, which includes money from Community Development Districts 5 through 11, collected from maintenance assessments paid by property owners. The other is the Sumter Landing Amenity Division Fund, which collects about 90% of its revenue from amenity fees paid by residents. Those fees pay for recreation centers, pools, executive golf courses, gates, and community watch. I'm going to skip forward here quite a bit. Her forecast showed that under the current amenity fee formula, the $72.86 million in revenue collected in 2018 and 2019 would only rise by $74.3 million. Get that? Only rise by $73.3 million. Like $74.3 million is just only. In 2027 and 2028, that's how much it should rise. Meanwhile, expenditure would rise from $67.8 million in 2018-19 to more than $84 million in 2027 and 2028. As structures and facilities age and require more maintenance. With adjustments in line with the customer's price index, it didn't take long for many homeowners to reach the $155 cap on monthly amenity fees. Today, 63% of the rooftops within PWAC's boundaries are at the $155 cap. That adds up to about 23,000 rooftops, capped at the $155 rate. By the 2019-2020 fiscal year, it is expected to climb to 31,000 homes. Oh well, you get the point, right? It's all about money. Money, 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 money. Everybody's got their hand out for money. Some want their hand out for money for good reasons. You know, charities and buying dogs, help get them trained for blind people. Clothes for unfortunate children, things of this nature. And Sue and I do this kind of stuff all the time. Matter of fact, we just sent 2 big boxes out of here yesterday of adult clothing and children's clothing and shoes and hats and stuff for the children in Venezuela. And hopefully they get to the right people. We can only do what we can do, without second guessing everybody else. So we try to help out on that kind of thing. But when it comes to money with the villages, it's just millions and millions and millions of dollars for things that, not to say we don't need them, but I just sometimes wonder if we can balance our budget this year by doing maybe some of that work, and then we'll finish it up next year. Like, that's what we would do if we was remodeling a house, right? I only have so much money, so I might remodel 1 or 2 rooms in this house. Next year we might do another room. And it seems like around here it's just it's a government-based money, more money. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not in all that. I can only hope that they keep it where the average person can afford to live here. Because I know somebody that lives in southern part of Florida that doesn't have anything near what we have here, and his amenity fees is $500 a month. So I don't want to see that. And here again, money. Talk about money. Always money. More money. Here's villager presents petition with 1,000 signatures calling for lights at pickleball courts. Where do they think this money's going to come from? How many pickleball courts? All of them? And where's the maintenance going to come from to maintain those lights? And then here's another thing. If they have lights on the pickleball courts, so does that mean the pickleball courts are going to be open till midnight? 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning? And for the people that live around those pickleball courts, you think they want to listen to all that noise all night long? So I'm saying no to the lights. They said no to the lighting at the swimming pools, so I don't know why they would say yes to your lighting at pickleball courts. That's just my opinion. St. Patty's Day Parade to step off Sunday afternoon at Spanish Springs. Well, I think I'm just about done. Here's one. Villager dies after suffering seizure and falling from his golf cart. That's too bad. 199-foot communication tower could improve cell phone coverage in the villages. And that's about it for that. And here's the last one. Villager uses I don't know defense in battle with a neighbor before ARC. That's the Architectural Review Committee. Anytime you do any work to the outside of your house, it's a safe bet that you really ought to go to ARC, show them your plans, and get the approval. Even I've called them a couple of times about things that I wanted to do, and because they've changed rules, they do it all the time. I got an email, and I print the email out and I hang on to them, where they sent me an email telling me I did not need ARC approval for certain things. One was, I called them, we got zoysia grass here. Everywhere else it's St. Augustine. And it seems like St. Augustine grass grows a lot better than this zoysia with a lot less effort. And I was told that if I lived in District 10, it was all zoysia and I couldn't transplant nothing else. Well, there was a neighbor back here I know that had his yard completely tore out and replaced with St. Augustine. So I called ARC. I asked him straight out. I told him where I lived and all this and that. I said, can I replace my zoysia grass with St. Augustine? And she said, absolutely, as long as you replace it all sod for sod. You just can't replace a section. And I said, so when you mean sod for sod, you mean I got to have my front, side yards, backyard, front yard all completely taken up and all new sod of St. Augustine put down on the 4 corners of my property? She said, absolutely. I said, so do I need to come up and fill out and get a approval from you? She said, no, sir. You don't need approval from ARC to replace your grass. I said, can you send me an email stating that? I gave her my email address, and she sent it right to me. Had her name on it and everything, and I printed it off. So if I decide to change my grass out here, and I may, I'm not going to go to ARC because she said I didn't need it. So just cover your butt, that's all. Mark Corner and Mary Jo Overland, who reside at Ridgeway Court in the Rosedale Villas in the village of Duval, lost their case 2 weeks earlier. They were not at the ARC meeting in which they retroactively sought approval for work already done at their home. That never works. People always try that, but it never works. Corner spoke before the ARC on Wednesday and said he did not see the work being done at his home as significant, and that he did not know he had to apply to the ARC for its approval. That excuse ain't going to work at all. His I don't know defense won him a little sympathy from the ARC, whose all-volunteer body that morning considered more than 100 applications for home improvements in the villages. It is your responsibility as property owner, Architectural Review Committee Chairman Irv Markley admonished Corner. I understand that now, Corner said. Corner's next-door neighbor, Linda Lane, had appeared at the ARC meeting 2 weeks earlier and returned Wednesday armed with a thick stack of photos she was eager to show to the ARC. She said the photos detailed the couple's unsanctioned work, which she says encroached on her property. She disputed Corner's contention that the couple's illicit patio extension was 23 inches. It's more like 35 inches. Her main objection to her neighbor's work: the water is not going to drain away. Corner objected to her claims. The information presented by my neighbor is totally false, he said. He previously made that contention in a letter to the editor. ARC Representative Jack Bode made a motion to again deny the application submitted by Corner and Overland. His motion received unanimous approval. So whatever work he did, he's going to have to back it up. So people, just save yourself the headache and the time and the effort and the frustration and all that. Go to ARC, get the approval for anything you're doing outside your house. Inside the house, I don't think you need any approval at all because that's not visible from the street. So if you're going to, I don't know, do anything, rip trees out, all that kind of stuff, just call ARC like I did. It's easy peasy. They'll tell you what you need to do, where it's at, all that kind of stuff. And you won't have this argument. And I'll tell you something else on a pre-owned home that you're getting ready to buy. And some of you I know are getting ready to buy them. Just a clue. When you're walking around the outside of the house looking at it, question everything. Find out if that lanai has been expanded. You can generally tell. When they build a house, it's usually so big. And a lot of people will add on to that and expand it way on out. Find out if it's been expanded. Find out if there's been on the garage, the golf cart garage, if it looks like it's kind of close to the neighbor or kind of close to the property line, find out if that golf cart garage is an add-on. And if it is, make sure, have your realtor do this now, he can do it. Make sure that all of that was approved by ARC and you want copies of those approvals. Because if he done any work around there that was not approved, you as the new home buyer are responsible. And if somebody buys a house next door and they complain about something that now you're the new home buyer and you bought this, and if they complain about, look, I think that according to the deed restriction, it says you can only build within 7 feet of the property line. And the property line is right here. They're going to know where it's at because you buy a house, that's the last thing they do. They survey your property. And you're 3 feet from that property line with that new golf cart garage. He makes a complaint. They find out that golf cart garage was not approved. You're the new owner. You didn't know, right? You just bought the house. They can make you tear that golf cart garage down at your expense. You're the new home buyer. You're the one responsible. Just cover your butt. Make sure all this stuff's been approved. And with that, I'm going to say, have a great day, and...
Hi, this is Mike Quiring from Bedminster, PA. Just had a meet and greet with Skip and Sue, two of the nicest people you ever want to meet in your life. And now it's time to say, see you on the other side.